Today's solo episode, I'm taking you behind the scenes on a project that we have been working on for months. It feels like we've been working on it for years when really it's probably only been months or weeks, which is the brand launch of Zenith Milwaukee, the 25-story, 226 unit luxury condominiums, and how this project was brought to us, how we came up with a plan, what our team executed on the back end to ensure that the unveiling that happened at the end of June was going to absolutely knock it out of the park. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. So in this episode, I want to walk you through the stuff that my team and I did, the strategies that we've employed, the kind of the back work, the work back schedule, knowing that we had a launch day in mind that was fast approaching, and the ways in which we prepared our client and also launched on social media in accordance with that plan. As always, if you're a first-time listener to the podcast, make sure that you are subscribed on YouTube, you're following us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Please feel free to leave a review. Come join us in our Heartbeat community. That link is in my bio. And we really appreciate you being here. If you enjoy this little nugget, it's so much fun for me to make this podcast, and I love providing it for free. And the way that we can keep providing it to you for free is when you save, share, subscribe, send it to a friend, spread the word, because that helps this whole thing keep going. So I just want to say thank you for listening. And without further ado, would love to tell you about what we've done for Zenith. So I'm going to kind of use this episode as a way to capture kind of this moment in time and what's happened over the last 8 weeks, and really kind of take you into those bigger decision making meetings that we had about this project. So this project came to us by way of Falkreeve & Gallagher, the real estate company. We've been working with Falkreeve & Gallagher since 2023 when we did their rebrand, and then they stayed on as a retainer client of ours. We helped them with social media, with print, with document design, presentation design, branding in general, photo video shoots, all of that stuff. And when they came to us with this opportunity, it was a very under wraps situation. It was like, hey, we have an opportunity to become the exclusive listing partner on a high-rise condominium, the first high-rise condominium in Milwaukee in over 20 years. This is a huge opportunity. It's going to be a new build. And Michelle, we need to get a certain number of reservations in order to break ground on this project because it does not yet exist. So when they pitched the opportunity for my team and I to take over from a brand strategy, creative direction, social media standpoint, of course, I was salivating a bit and chomping at the opportunity to help bring that to life. And what really sold me on that was I got to see the floor plans and the renderings that were coming from the builder and the architect, which were super impressive. And having been to Milwaukee a few times now, I could absolutely see the vision of how this place would come together. And I think it's a really interesting time to be in real estate because as people's needs shift and as their footprint shifts and what they value shifts, even the difference between like boomers and millennials of like living in walkable neighborhoods or living in units that have amenities and having access to things beyond just your four walls, as that continues to increase, I think the value of properties like the Zenith project are really exciting. So Zenith is going to feature 22,000 square feet of amenities. They've got an indoor pool. They have a 2-story gym. They've got sauna. They've got 24-hour concierge. There are entertaining spaces, co-working spaces, golf simulator. And once I kind of saw all of this, I go, ooh, you know what? Yeah. And I joked. I was like, hey, should I maybe move to Milwaukee? Because this looks like a place that I would want to live in. And so we got to look at all the renders first. And I knew just from the renders and the vision that they were putting forward that this felt like a viable thing to hop in on and to help market. Also because we were starting with a huge pile of assets. The number one roadblock in trying to launch a new brand is when you don't have any assets and you don't have any proprietary assets. I think a few years ago, even a decade ago, it was much easier to launch a brand when you could just utilize stock photos or some nicely designed graphics, but really to see how impressive these 3D renders and some of the AI video animations that they've been able to use to really showcase not only the design of the space, but the lifestyle of the person who lives there is really, really important. So I want to pull up for our reference for this episode the deck that I created for Zenith. And I will, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that this comes over to the YouTube side. Okay, marketing strategy deck. So technically, we engaged in this marketing strategy deck way back in May. So what I've pulled together in this deck is the opportunity, our responsibilities, and what that looks like as an implementation schedule. So we have the opportunity itself, Zenith being a 25-story, 230 unit, that's changed slightly, 226 technically. Luxury condominium tower, first for sale residential development of this scale in Milwaukee in 2 decades. That's kind of the hook or the promise. Residences ranging from 781 to 1,500 square feet, 22,000 square feet of amenities, as I mentioned. And for Falkgrove and Gallagher, it is a significant sales opportunity that the city has not seen in such a long time. An opportunity to own a condo in a luxury resort style living unit complex that, again, just has not been an option for the last 20 years. From there, I outlined what our responsibilities would be. So in the deck that I'm referencing, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see it there. Zenith X FRG collaboration logo. So doing a lockup of the property logo plus the real estate logo. Now, our team did not design the property branding. That was handled by the builder. But the word mark also, I was like, okay, pop off. Like, I can work with this, was actually kind of wonderful. And I think when paired with Falkgrove and Gallagher, it just brought me back to that 2023 place of envisioning a possibility like this and how it might start to come together. So to bridge the gap and kind of present this as a co-branded opportunity, we needed the logo lockup. So we've got different orientations of the logos, how they arrange with each other, how stacked version, horizontal, with the Keller Williams tag, without the Keller Williams tag, what the submark should look like, etc. And then also setting up the profile branding for the social media platforms that they were going to be using. After that, some of the responsibilities included photo and video shoot direction, social media content creation and management for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, content on the FRG page posted collaboratively with the property page, which is what we're working towards next, coordination with any outside partners for web, for ads, and email newsletter design, direct mail, print pieces, and event experience and strategy, as well as what we had called an FRG landing page. That ended up evolving into something else. So I'd be happy to tell you what that ended up as. But as we go through this deck, what I wanted to make sure we had a consensus on is the positioning. What is the promise? What is kind of the hook or the reason why someone would be interested in this type of opportunity? So we identified where Zenith fits in a positioning map. So you could also call this your competitor landscape, but it would be a way to identify, okay, where amongst the other living opportunities does this one fall? Both on a price positioning access and an amenity and lifestyle offering access, just to start to see where that falls in. So again, the number of units, the newness of it, the novelty of it, the 9-foot 6-inch ceilings and the balconies and the views, the wraparound views, having access to those different amenities, as well as the luxury rental pipeline saturating, becoming a leapfrog or jumping off point to get ownership ready buyers that want that as an alternative. They don't want to just keep renting. They'd like to own. As this deck goes on, we also identified 5 different archetypes. And this we did in tandem with the builder and the architect, because obviously they had to do this research also. So I've kind of presented it here as the luxury renter, the suburban downsizer, the downtown professional, sinks and dinks. So single income, no kids, double income, no kids, and the life changer. So we're thinking about, again, in this deck, as I was putting forward this strategy, what is the project? Where does it fall amongst its other competitive opportunities? And who the heck are we marketing to? This is going to be the same for any type of business branding exercise, right? These are the answers that would come out of the brand questionnaire typically. But what I've done is take the information that came from the builder, that came from the architect, that came from the real estate group, and pulled it into this presentation that really showcases, like, okay, where are we going with all of this information and who the heck are we talking to? Identifying who the luxury renter is, not only their demographics, but the psychographics. So your demographic information would be like they're aged between 32 and 55. For the suburban downsizer, they're aged between 50 and 72. What is their income? Are they married? Are they single? Are they empty nesters? Do they have children? Do they not have children? Where would they find out about this project? And so we really wanted to call out on the archetypes page of who is going to be that first exposure to the brand, and how do we kind of pull them into this universe? And the example I kept coming back to was when we were designing the branding for Piano Chi property management company. This is a property management company based in Italy on the Amalfi Coast who had to appeal to not only the older boomer, aging out adult who owns the villa, but you had to be able to attract their 30 to 40-year-old child who's going to be showing them the opportunity. Because more likely than not, it's actually was the kids' generation that was going to bring it up to their dad or grandpa or uncle or aunt or grandma or cousin, say, hey, I found this company. This is what they do. I think they could help take care of this property. And being able to bridge the gap so that it looked new enough and modern enough to attract someone young, but it had the sustainability and the trustworthy factor and the legitimacy to make someone who's older feel like they are represented, make them feel like they are understood and that they are represented in the materials that are being put forward, that they trust it, right? It doesn't look so flashy and so new and so new age that it's unapproachable. So keeping those two demographics in mind, and I think this similar idea is happening with Zenith, where we have the younger people and then you have people who are in their life transition. So they either were going through a divorce, they lost a spouse, they changed their health, they're empty nesters, their kids have moved out, and they want that like social aspect of being part of a larger kind of community without sacrificing the like luxuriousness of these condos. So again, through this, you can kind of see how my brain's pulling together the different aspects of what made this marketing deck effective so that our team could move forward with the plan. The co-branding system, again, this is going to be the tone principles, the messaging hierarchy. What are we selling? How do we make sure that what we're communicating through all the marketing touch points are carrying through the same qualities? So confident, but not boastful, civic, but not corporate, warm, but not necessarily casual, and urgent, but not pressured and not intense. So finding that balance where we could hit on all of those marks is part of the marketing goal in all of this. Our co-branding logo lockups, again, this is really just showcasing how the logos work together, the scale, the size, the taglines, things like that. And then with the color palette, what I tried to do was find a bridge between what FRG is using existing and what Zenith was using existing. And what I noticed in a lot of their photography is that, and really the AI renders, is that a lot of the interior design was very warm, like warm woods and lots of green plants and almost like a walnut color or oaky color throughout, brass instead of silver or stainless. And then just really kind of like warm neutrals. And FRG uses a lot of those colors. Now with FRG, we lean a lot on navy blue. Navy blue is kind of their signature color, but they do have colors in their palette that lean more towards those leafy greens, gold, brass, kind of that antique bronze color. And so bringing that closer to what Zenith had, which was more black, ivory, and gold, we kind of found this nice middle ground by popping it with the green. So we have this really beautiful green color, like olivey, rich, but still fresh. It has like a vitality to it. It feels inviting and it doesn't feel particularly too posh or particularly too casual. Really nice middle ground on that. That's what brought us into the social media mockups. So I showcased what the Instagram, the YouTube, and the Facebook pages could look like branded, and then started to show what some of the Instagram stories and Instagram mockups could look like. So keeping that brand persona and the styling in mind, using the beautiful images that were coming from the builder, was able to pull together an Instagram grid. Now, let's talk about the Instagram launch strategy. So the trick of this project is that they couldn't let the word get out until they had their press day. So they did like a press unveiling on the 23rd of June, which was like a Monday. And then they had an insiders, kind of brokers and agents showcase the following day. So nothing could get posted or be public about this project until that party happened. Now, knowing how people behave and how they get excited about things like this kind of launch party, we want to capitalize on their excitement. So the goal was to make sure that the brand page was live by the day of the party. You following? So what I did in the meantime, we created an Instagram account. We turned it on private. We loaded it up with a grid full of posts that were kind of teaser-ish. They weren't so explanatory of the situation. And then we created 3 pinned videos at the top. And the 3 pinned videos at the top, the cover on them is branded. So if you're looking at this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it very clearly. And the goal with that was to create almost like a web banner across the top of the social media of the videos that would most accurately depict the space. So what I did was take the video that the builder was able to provide that were kind of slow-mo pan showcasing details and aspects of the project, chop it into 3 bits, set it to music, be able to post it onto the Instagram account, pin it to the top so that it stays there. So that when somebody clicks on it, the caption of that reel is going to drive them to the websites, but also the content of that reel is very shareable and savable. So those 3 videos will always stay at the top until we have new video content to replace it with, until we have new video content that are major milestones or information or like actual tactile information that gets people to the result. And again, the trick here is that the Instagram account to start doesn't really have any people in it. We're working from rendering images. We're working from mock-ups. We're working from floor plans and from design work and kind of more behind the scenesy stuff, but we still have to paint the picture of what it's like to live there. So the grid as of now of just getting started does showcase kind of more of an abstract idea of Zenith, with the goal being that once we can start to capture photo video of people picking their selections, meeting with their real estate agent, going over a sales brochure, that we have at least something that's starting to paint the picture. So that's the bit on social. From there, we had to figure out, okay, so somebody is now seeing this on social. What are they supposed to do next? Where are they going to go? What's going to be the call to action? And this is where we kind of came up with something, again, from an experience that I had working with Galavan Society. So go back, if you haven't already, and listen to the client touchpoint map episode. This is a gold mine. And doing this exercise, it sounds so obvious. Like, oh yeah, how do I get clients? Where do my leads come from? But what it does is it pinpoints what information gets delivered at what time to whom and in what order. And having that information greatly impacted how we approached this project, because what we realized is we needed a way to capture those leads based on the unit type that they were interested in. So again, zoom out. If that's the goal, then we have to figure out what information needs to live behind, not a paywall, but it needs to live behind a subscriber access point. Because we want to make sure that someone who's interested in the information about the units, we've captured their information and we can email them, we can get in contact with them, we can have an agent reach out, yada, yada, yada. So my recommendation was, hey, let's build the website, but let's build all the good information, all that good, juicy stuff behind some kind of subscribe wall so that you're capturing that lead, you're getting them into your database, and you're getting an opportunity to continue to market to them. So what we created was a really basic homepage for zenithxfrg.com. That homepage, 3 buttons. Work with an agent, book a viewing, like a special viewing, private viewing of the units, and then access the buyer's resource hub. So we called it a buyer's resource hub, and it's a password protected page that then contains all of the breakdowns for pricing, for upgrades, for floor plans, all of your step-by-step timeline information, all of your documents and what to expect. And it becomes this place that gives you that deep dive of information that is going to continue to become more robust and more valuable as time goes on. So by having the resource hub separate, it's also a great thing to tease on social media to say, hey, are you interested? You can get free access to the buyer's resource hub, which has all this juicy information. You just got to put in your email. And I think we have them put in their name, their email, and their zip code. So put in your email, get access to all this stuff. So this is, I think, a really underrated thing that you can do in any business model, which is not put every single detail of every service or every product or every mastermind or every whatever, fill in the blank, not making all of that public information, but finding a way, instead of like, here's download my freebie for yada, yada. No. can you make it so that the information that's most helpful to that person, you're still giving it for free, but you're like, hey, give me your email first. Give me your email and I'll give you all this great stuff because I want to find a way to reach out to you afterwards because you're expressing interest and I want to find a way to capture that. So that's, again, something we do with Gallivant Society where theirs is slightly different. Whereas when somebody actually books a trip and is confirmed for a trip, then they get access to the trip page. And the trip page has all the nitty gritty details. What visa do I need? What do I do about currency? How do I stay safe? What's my packing list? Where are all the blogs that I can read about this place? Like, what books should I download? All of that lives in behind a wall, right? And you got to have the information. You got to have access to that content to get that content. And again, there's ways to make that a very seamless, very beautiful, very like frictionless experience, which I'm really interested in. But I think it gave us a good way to separate, okay, what's the stuff that's public information and what's the stuff that's like you got to subscribe to know it. Like you got to really be in it to know it. And it's centralized and it's digital and it's optimized for phone. And then the next iteration of that is going to be creating a print version of everything that lives in the Buyer Resource Hub. That's kind of where we're going next. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, you'll notice that the page that I'm referring to doesn't have anything on it because I was pitching this as an opportunity of like, hey, here's where I would put in all that stuff. Here's where I would plug in all that stuff. But because of the phase that we were at in this proposal process, I wasn't going to do the work per se ahead of time before we'd signed contracts and gotten things paid. So it is that kind of delicate balance between like how much do you share or show before you've landed the project versus how much can you literally put the placeholders and it looks like a fill in the blank for, hey, this is what we would handle and this is how it would come together. And we did the same for the print design as well. So we said, hey, maybe we need postcards, note cards, magazine, letterhead, business cards. This is how all of that would lay out. I think this is just a more visual way to showcase things that would otherwise just be on a line item. And you would just be like, scanning it, not really paying attention. So laying it out in this document, I think was really useful for the client. We talked about merch and merch touch points. Please go back and listen to the merch episode. It's only a few episodes back. It's a solo episode. I give you the full breakdown of your different merch opportunities and places to really evolve merch, elevate your merch, whether you're going to do print on demand, you're going to order from abroad, etc. Some of the things I pitched for this project were a folder or a binder, maybe a custom tape measure. We talked about matchbooks, cards, pens, hotel notepads, water bottles. And then we really thought about what would elevate this experience. Like what would be something that like a founder or like a founding resident, the first 100 people to sign on, what's their kind of like gift with purchase? What's something that would feel elevated and look nice in a presentation type of way that would be connected to the space? And so we thought a lot about, okay, there are incredible amenities. Why don't we treat it like a hotel style amenities kit or an airline amenities kit? And there's maybe a neoprene bag that you can put your swimsuit in. And there's a really beautiful towel to use at the pool. And there's a gym towel and there's a pouch for that. And it's branded and it has the Zenith logo on it, but it feels more like a lifestyle item and less like a promotional sales material. So those were some of the ideas that we floated around for merch. We will definitely circle back on the merch conversation because I think I love talking about merch and I love talking about those like thoughtful touches. Some of the things we moved forward for in time for the launch event were notepads, pens, and ribbon. And so creating a nice little takeaway of well-branded, well-designed, like just scratch pad notepad, a beautiful pen, it's high quality, and then the branded ribbon going around it was just like a nice, sweet touch to get us started. But I had so many other ideas that we didn't get to execute on because it came up too quick. The next bit of this deck is spent on kind of the marketing plan and outreach. So figuring out what are those key dates on the calendar and how can we look at the summary of what days we know for sure we have to hit to make sure that this whole thing gets kicked off correctly. So as I mentioned before, the Instagram account was a private account until the day of the launch party. We turned it public because we wanted to make sure that we were reposting, resharing anyone that mentioned us on stories, mentioned us in their posts, dropped an article. There was a big PR outreach. I wasn't involved in that, but that happened concurrently as well. And then figuring out what those key events are to make sure that we have enough leading up to it. we have enough coverage of it, and then we have enough stuff to recap on social media afterwards. So you'll see here, there's the VIP announcement, there was the broker open, and then upcoming will be a VIP party once we hit some more of those milestones. Next is the marketing roadmap. And with the marketing roadmap, what we're trying to get at is figure out, okay, what needs to happen first? And the way that I laid it out is 4 phases. Finalize, which sounds like it should be the last phase, but stick with me. So first we had to finalize all the branded assets. Like, hey, do these logo lockups look good? Do we like the colors? Do we like the fonts? Do we like the style? Is this event planned? Are we good to go? We had to create an event invite. We had to create event graphics that kind of were a nod to the place, but didn't reveal the name, which is always so difficult, but worth it nonetheless. And then finalizing the website flow. Like, how does someone go from the contact form to becoming in the database to getting outreach to being invited to come to a thing? It's a whole process. And really, with the Buyer's Resource Hub, it was figuring out what's the most logical way to lay out this information because it's dense and we wanted to add a lot of value in that section. So making sure we had each of the unit types broken out. What are the names of the unit types? That's something we're still working on, is trying to finalize that. But breaking it out by here's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, here's a 2-bedroom, and then here are the penthouses. And then underneath that, there's breakdowns under that are accordions that, like, these are the unit numbers. This is which way the units face. Here's what the views are from that unit. Here's what the floor plan looks like. And really make that a treasure trove of information for someone who would be interested. Like, that they could spend so much time in that Buyer's Resource Hub because they're just going to be clicking around and finding things and getting more information and reading the descriptions and looking at the images, that there's just an endless amount of value to being on that side of the subscribe wall. The next was making sure that we had a good foundation. So we needed to produce the evergreen sales material, so the brochure, floor plan, etc., all of the supplementary, like, sales deck presentations and background slides and folders and different touch points in that aspect. Then we had to make sure that the social accounts had a good, consistent amount of content to run with. From there, all of the pre-launch email capture landing page, I'll spare you the details. And I do want to call out, like, I'm not the only one working on this. Like, our team is working on it, but also there are outside partners as well. Other website designers, other developers, other ads managers. I mean, Sarah from FRG has just been absolutely crushing with this whole project. So really being able to showcase that it takes a team effort. But I think what we did particularly well in this moment was, like, put forward this plan and say, like, hey, does this sound good to everybody? Like, here's who's working on what when. Part of that for me is also overseeing all the photo video. So I had to come up with a photo video series that was going to announce and explain what this was. Thankfully, FRG team uses Jameson, so they can have the photo video in there and part of this whole package and part of this whole concept, which was first capturing the launch party video. Then it's going to be a formal introduction to the project video. After that, we're going to get into the units, the opportunity, the process, and then end with the neighborhood. So we're going to have this whole series with the different video dropping every week that really, again, starts to tell the story of who could live here, what they would get out of it, the value of being here, et cetera, et cetera. So from there, we go to activate, which is creating our lead nurture sequence and making sure that the team is working consistently with those other partners. So activating the ads, activating the outreach strategy, making sure that the sales office experience is a good one and it reflects the brand well. And then lastly, coming up to that bigger launch moment. So the launch is kind of a moving target because it's going to be dependent on who's bought units. So the launch aspect, we want to really make sure that we are capturing milestone moments that make a difference for this building. So some of those milestone moments would be once they have 100 residents, once they are approved to break ground, when the first person moves in, like what that all looks like over the next few years of this project, which is crazy to think about. And then from there, I kind of touch point on the next 90 days between amplify, accelerate, expand, and sustain. What does this look like for paid campaigns, for mailers, for social media, for outreach, for webinars, analytics? How does this affect our engagement on email, corporate outreach, buyer milestones, kind of what I just talked about, social media content, and then again, analytics review. And then from there, like, where are different places to grow? Like, can we get national attention for this? Can we introduce a referral program? What does the social media content look like to partner up with other local small businesses that are equally as enthusiastic about this opportunity? And then lastly, really sustaining. So making sure that we've got that overarching like performance review of this campaign. What worked? What didn't work? What is our cost per lead? How can we create an infrastructure to help announce benchmarks publicly and make sure that there's just like that ongoing momentum about this whole thing? So there's, again, so much in the mix. And this was like a huge deck to pull together. And I stressed about this for a very long time. And so the fact that we're now on the other side of it and things are going swimmingly, it's very exciting. So with Zenith as well, the video brainstorm and the merch brainstorm, if you are on the YouTube, you can see a little bit of what of a mess it is. And also how I've instructed it to pass off to the videographer. So again, the saving grace on this project was having really great renderings. Like there's a really solid renderings. There's beautiful imagery. It's an exciting, cool, novel, unique product and project. And then on top of that, seeing the bigger vision and making sure I'm directing anyone that I'm in charge of to capture what I know we will need to be successful. So even if you're looking now at the video brainstorm document, we've got the B-roll we need. Okay, let's capture the neighborhood. Let's capture the street, the amenities, the transportation, the access. Let's make sure that we're capturing FRG with the builder. So like, let's capture the real estate agents with the builders to showcase their collaboration, to basically depict what an in and out of office type relationship would look like working with these people. Then we need to make sure we're capturing lifestyle, things like schools, farmers markets, fitness and activity, bars and restaurants, events, activations, and then all of that ideal client B-roll. So how can we capture somebody that represents the ideal client that we're working with, or the ideal client themselves? If somebody signs on, can we get some of those early adopters in some marketing videos? What are you excited about? What's intriguing to you about this project? What's your first reaction? Why is this important to you? And even on the FRG video brainstorm deck, I've got a whole thing of like, here's hot mic clips I want us to get. I want us to capture the question, like, who do you envision also enjoying living here? What do you think this building says about where Milwaukee is headed? Why is this an intriguing option for you? And because I do believe that in the answers, people will be able to see themselves in other people's answers. So instead of us force feeding what this is and who it's for, like, let the people who are excited about it tell you what it is and who it's for. Anyway, there's so much more to go into all of this, and I am so over time for this episode because there's just too much to say. But a little plug, please go follow us over on Zenith MKE to pay attention to what we're doing. I've got 3 more brands that are going to be launching before the end of the year that we've worked on. And as soon as they launch, my goal is to help take you guys behind the scenes to be able to see what all that was about and like get a sense for what's actually happening behind the scenes at our agency that I can't go public with yet because it's not announced yet and I can't let the cat out of the bag. And I think this has just been a bigger lesson in where our group is headed, is that we no longer are on the business model where I can like post something that I designed same day. Like I can't, because there's too many other moving pieces and parts, that it's more worth it to let everything launch and then tell you about what happened after the fact. So I'm excited to do this for more projects. I'm excited to let you guys in on it. Again, if you haven't watched on YouTube, I'd recommend watching on YouTube because then you can see what I'm talking about, because our lovely editors add in all these decks and graphics and things that are visual reference. But being able to take that big picture view, summarize it, come up with a marketing plan, come up with an order of operations, understand the positioning, and then turn that all around. And if we sent that deck in May, we really only had the month of June to work on it, which is so crazy in hindsight. But now you guys know why I don't post on social media so much, because I got shit to do. We got to get that bag. We got to be busy. We got to get these brands launched. So anyway, thanks for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a comment, leave a review. I'll try to get Sarah on the podcast to talk about the Zenith project. It is really cool. And it is really cool to be a part of a project that's going to be so impactful for so many people. And especially in this kind of like luxury real estate space, I'm kind of loving it. So that's all. Catch you soon. Bye.